Oh my god, I am having problems hearing after watching this. Well, it's come to this. We've had Freddy vs. Jason, Alien vs. Predator, Batman v Superman, and now there's the long-awaited match between Ecks and Sever. One question though, who in the hell are Ecks and Sever? Believe it or not, it more so links to Michael Myers, as it has a history that goes all the way back to the 80s. This story of two rival agents teaming up to fight a common enemy and his diabolical plan for nanobot technology was a script that started in 1986 by writer Alan McElroy, who worked with director Dwight Little on Halloween 4, and the two were ready for this to be their next project, which at first was titled Legion, then was given the title Gunner, the main character's name at the time, and was going to be a Dolph Lundgren movie for Vestron. After Vestron dropped it when the company came under new management, it stayed in limbo until 1999 when Warner Brothers was like, we need something else that's just like The Matrix. So despite McElroy still being the credited writer, the script was completely rewritten by Peter M. Lenkoff, the writer of Demolition Man and the creator of R.I.P.D., and one of the things added to be more Matrix-like was the nanobot plotline. With director Witch Kayase Ananda on board, he wanted Chow Yun-fat and Jean Reno for the Ecks and Sever roles, but the producers didn't think they'd bring in a crowd, so it went through Wesley Snipes, Jet Li, Stallone, and Vin Diesel, till finally Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu were headliners of a movie disowned by nearly everyone involved. After a test screening went south, the director was left out of the editing room, his editor was fired, and the movie was completely reworked against the director's original template, with shots being flipped, character development diminished, and the pacing changed to complete nonsense. The director used the pseudonym Chaos, has still never seen the final cut from beginning to end, and it devastated him so much he took a long break from directing, and writer Peter Lenkoff vastly prefers working in television now. It's mainly known today, not just as a bomb, but for being the lowest rated movie in Rotten Tomatoes history, with not simply a 0% score, but 0 based on 118 reviews, the largest reviewed 0% movie. After all these years, curiosity has gotten the best of me, so time to finally check out Batshit Explosions vs. Cars.
I'm watching my video. I'm watching my video. Oh, watching my video. Sure looks good to me.
We gotta be safe when watching this, because here's a movie packed with so many explosions, I think they're still putting out the fires. If they wanted to make it like The Matrix, then why isn't the logo green? I told you this when the Valentine logo was red. It even has music by Don Davis, who did the music for The Matrix, and it has cinematography by Julio Macat. He knows how to film an epic rivalry. He also shot Cats and Dogs. I actually like the rockin' score at the beginning. Am I watching Ballistic, Ecks vs. Sever, or am I watching an epic wrap-up at the end of a Miami Vice episode? Why didn't you keep this an 80s movie? It's got Andrew Stevens' name on it. He's had the honor of being Bronson's partner in 10 to Midnight, Bronson vs. Naked Man. I'm guessing something important is going on, more so than I think your car might be on fire. The kid is the son of Defense Intelligence Agency Director Robert Gant, and when it's his weekend with the kid, it's his weekend. We'll take the boy from here. Don't get too lost on your way back, ma'am, and throw some water on your car. We'll be much safer in this vehicle. Actually, scratch that. Miss, can we have that bucket of water back? It's not enough that we need to take out the rest of security. We need to commandeer a truck and crash into them and add even more smoke to the scene. I didn't think it was possible for the movie to get foggier. It's okay, son, your babysitter's here. See, you'll have a great time this weekend. You love those Assassin's Creed games, right? What is happening? Don't expect anyone in the scene to say a goddamn word. Let's just assume that, I don't know, he's being taken away to be a Jedi or something. That's what we'll tell the kid when he's thrown in a holding cell. Meanwhile, here we get to meet Ecks, and the smoke is following him here. Antonio, the scene is indoors. We need you to make your own smoke in the scene. And fighting. That's how you know he's badass. He fights over bar table pickled eggs. It even brings out the bar manager. Sir, we're gonna have to ask you to leave. I can't afford to hire any new bouncers. Jeremiah Ecks is the right man for the job. He's former FBI, and his old boss wants him to bring down Sever and rescue the kid. Why is he so burnt out? You haven't guessed? Look at him. He has resting wife was tragically killed face. Why is he their only option? Look, Ecks, everyone else in the agency is sober. We know you're way more powerful when you drink, and if we ever decide to turn this into a graphic novel, no one looks cooler walking in slow motion in the rain than you. There'll still be an explosion. We paid for cars to be blown up, and damn it, we're gonna stick them in the movie somewhere. It was too wet for him out there, so he's suddenly back in the bar and accepts the job. Can't tell this was re-edited randomly. Let me guess, the big bad is neither Ecks nor Sever, but is clearly gonna be the awesome Greg Henry as Director Gant.
You were supposed to protect my son.
She took us by surprise.
How do I explain that to my wife?
I already failed my son, Logan Huntsberger. How do I explain that I've lost another kid? At least his henchman came out okay. One slam with a garbage truck and he's only got a stiff neck. Don't mind the bullet in his head. A band-aid will clear that up. I'm still sticking with Michael here being the most wanted Jedi. Look, Ray Park is right there. Everyone will have a cool name in this.
The man on the left is AJ Ross. He and his team arrived in Vancouver about 5 hours ago.
His nickname, Prince of Darkness.
It was brought forth to us by John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. And their DIA technology is eclipsing ours.
A machine would solve that problem. One touch of a button and he could give a head of state a heart attack.
Wouldn't it save the Bureau millions by just using a sniper rifle or poison? It's not cost effective to use robot bugs to kill people, but Sever's involvement will give him the drive to take on the mission. She can't be too hard to find. Why even wear the giant hood if the camera still clearly picks up your face? And she's hanging out in very public places like the shopping mall. She's walking in slow motion, so the bad guys will have plenty of time to get there before she leaves. Even though they're supposed to just take her in, maybe wounding her would make it easier. No, just put a gun in her back. That way this can happen. I like that these two back here are like, sure, everyone else is running, but we want to see where this goes. She's not even trying to disappear in the crowd. Oh, there she is, the only one who is walking normally and firing a gun. She can get away due to the even more obvious editing. Yes, filmed in this wasn't originally supposed to be in slow motion vision, and the out-of-place needle drops provided by whatever the editor was listening to at the time. How is she so hard to shoot? Don't let broken glass get in the way of showing off your bitchin' cartwheels you just learned. But even when there's some silly cutting going on, there are cool shots and stunt work left in to remind you that talented people did direct it and shoot it. Okay, that was actually a pretty awesome shot. Then the dumb music comes in to make you forget about it quickly, but the sound effects are hilarious. It's like the sounds Mac makes when he's practicing his karate skills. And why did you bring this gun with you when you know Sever is just gonna use it instead? Jesus Christ, are you sure it's not Ecks or Sever who are the villains here? There's gotta be some innocent bystanders that are getting blown apart during this. This really is Death Wish 3 levels of property destruction. Jesus, okay, I admit it. We should have popped her in the leg with a sniper rifle when we had the chance. Or, something like this. She was still there and we didn't spot her? And how did these two not hear the war zone a block away from them?
Hey, beautiful. What? Oh.
Back off, Vin Diesel. You had a chance to co-star in this and you blew it. Luckily, the streets are very clear for her to escape. That's because we blew up every other car in the city. Well, except for these. That takes care of that. Now there's no cars left for her. See? The parking garage is completely empty. My favorite part of this, though, isn't the lines or all the explosions, but the sound effects and ADRing that catch me off guard. Ugh! That's the sound you make when you stub your toe, not get shot. And I don't know what these two's beef is, but this really doesn't look like fighting to me. Is this another sequel to the Breakin' series? Can we move closer, sir? We can barely see the hot chemistry this far. Kiss her, you fool! Shall we just let them fight?
Do not let them cancel each other.
That's right, Ecks and Sever will destroy each other by digging up their old tweets. Alright, break it up, you two. We put that fun chute on the side of the building, so use it so we can end the scene. Guess they just gave up the chase, because we're on to the next scene where X's partner is just throwing his happy home life in poor X's face. And add insult to injury.
So my daughter wanted to know why you look so sad. I told her it's because you just got beat up by a girl.
Your daughter just made the list, and I didn't see you do jack shit. I jumped off a building. Let's go ahead and take a break. I don't know what she's searching for, but it's not the weirdest porn I've ever seen. You'd better perfect your Ecks versus Sever cosplay, because we've got some conventions coming up. You can see us at C2E2 in April, Planet Funk in June, Kineticon in July, Cleveland Gaming in September, with our first of the year being Midwest Gaming Classic, April 4th through the 6th. Get your tickets for that one at MidwestGamingClassic.com. We're back, and I made you your favorite kid, shrapnel stuffed pizza rolls. It goes perfectly with the nanobot technology your dad smuggled in you. Ugh, none of this would be happening if everyone just used bullets like me. It cost me my entire life savings to get this computer set up to do my research. I had to sell my gun rack. That's where the jelly goes. Ecks has the more convenient setup. Just give him the laptop so he can Google Sever's backstory. Also, buddy, your leg is still on fire from the shootout earlier. How could this day get worse? The kid told me I got beat up by a girl. I had to blow up her dollhouse. I don't even get this. He's being arrested for shooting his boss, Julio Martin, when anyone can tell it wasn't him who shot him. We know his backstory, though, but what about Sever's? Give it a minute. The editor is still experimenting. Here we go. Another tragic past shot. It can't be animated or we'd think she's just O-Ren Ishii again. She's working on a trade. Michael for his corrupt father. We're 40 minutes in, and this is the most her character has talked. I think she's only said about 2 words before this. And where's he going? He's able to take another call. Sir, are you going to show up to work today? I'm sorry, the station is located near the Denny's on Washington, right? No, we're by the Denny's on Jefferson. Okay, fine. I'm going to stop by home first.
Doing everything I can to find him.
What are you doing exactly, Robert?
I brought you a moons over my hammy. Meanwhile, they just know Ecks is up to no good. We're skipping the trial. You're off to federal prison immediately. And for safety reasons, you'll be the only one on the bus. This thing is gonna get blown up, but good. You can pick locks, you'll be fine. Good God, why on a busy highway? Forget just assuming you didn't kill Ecks with that blast, but who else on the road is going to the hospital in critical condition? I'm glad I saved you, Ecks. You'll be in a body cast for a while, but when you're all healed, we should team up. He may have escaped, but we haven't forgotten about that bus. Still more parts to blow up. Would Ecks or Sever have cared if anyone was in those cars and burnt to death? Anyway, they've got motorcycles now. I'll be shocked if this somehow doesn't bring down a plane. These are the kinds of characters where they don't care where they're going, they're just gonna get there fast. I'm sure this is exactly what it looks like when Ecks just simply steps out to buy a pack of cigarettes. Ecks, we need you to give up that habit. You're at 27 cars. Sever is smarter. She scares off everyone on the streets when she needs to go to the store.
Oh, shit!
Again, that was pretty funny. And she doesn't just blow up that car. Don't leave a stack of already totaled cars near her. You're just asking for those to get blown up too. She had to do this. That way we can make the stunt work even cooler. Oh no, Ecks slightly cut his cheek. When will you two see that you're both made for each other? Just don't get married. We don't want to blow up the limo driver. Maybe he can finally trust her. She gives him the info on his wife and Gant, and then I guess they go home and let someone else clean up this mess again. It's on to the next scene, where Gant and his wife are going to need some counseling.
What did you find out?
They're still looking.
Give me time. Half the city is on fire. Look at this. She burnt his Happy Meal and had to resort to microwave mac and cheese that's been in the fridge for a year. Can you hurry this up? The kid's gotta get to the convention. He's still wearing his Marty McFly cosplay. I like how the movie straight up becomes a soap opera. You know how Ecks thought his wife had died? Well, no, not quite. Turns out Gant's wife, Rain, is X's wife. And we know this from the flashback scene where Ecks was working as George Clooney's double. They seem relatively calm for two people who spent years thinking that the other one was dead, and that she married Gant for, protection, I guess, then changed her name, and never told anyone that Michael is actually X's kid and not Gant's. But what do you expect out of a universe where it's pouring down rain, but everyone in the scene remains dry? You see, Sever had to kidnap Michael. It was the best way to sacrifice their love for each other by getting Ecks back with his wife and saving the kid from Gant's experiments. God damn it, Sever, you could have just told me this. It would have spared billions in property destruction. They've blown up so much that look at the background. That shit ain't really there. You destroyed so much that we have to use a green screen and stock footage. Why is this even called Ecks versus Sever? Their rivalry isn't even the main plot, and I guess they're friends now. Let's take another break. Now that Michael has met his father, Ecks can make the boy stay in the cage until he finishes all of his macaroni and cheese. Special thanks to the voters on Patreon for finally making this episode happen. Ecks versus Sever got way more support here than it did at the box office. And this poll continued the trend of 80s comedies always coming in dead last. Sorry, School Spirit and the Invisible Kid, the world keeps rejecting you. Contribute to our polls and see episodes in advance at patreon.com/thecinemasnob. Now that we're back, Ecks will protect his wife at all costs. We've decided to put you up in a rocket and send you to outer space. We're gonna beat Gant at his own game. Airsoft competition. The welts are gonna heal for days. Oh, and I think Sever also lost her own family, which Gant may be responsible for. It's hard to tell. My god, this character is very monotone.
I can upgrade your status, allow you the luxury of a family.
I had a family.
I can tell you were close. She has the same delivery and expression, whether it's jumping away from fire or talking about her family, while X's motivation is that no matter where he's standing, he has to immediately walk in slow-mo when something badass is going on in the background. Before all of this went down, we had to see them plant bombs on the train, though I have a hunch they would have exploded by her simply hitting the button, regardless of the trains being armed or not. I'm not even mad watching this. I'm more so thinking that if I want a stylish Lucy Liu and Greg Henry action movie that's way better, I'll just watch Payback. This movie's not good. It's not like I recommend it. It's less of a movie and more of a reel showcasing pyrotechnics and stunt work. I don't know if the director's original vision for it would have been great, but probably a little better before it was taken away from him. I could see it working if they added way more personality to the characters, or give it a sense of humor closer to something like Tango and Cash, but I'm surprised that there's not one single critic that gave it a marginally passing grade. There is some style to it. There are shots that are good. I've seen far more inept movies that have a few critics that like it. Not even The Snowman or Blacklight or House of the Dead are at 0%. And I can follow this movie a lot better than I could the movie I watched last week. Plus, I never felt the length. It is only 90 minutes, and it breezes by so fast that when I was 45 minutes in, I was like, oh, I'm already halfway through this. And it's an instance of the game tie-in being good while the movie is bad. It's got a really fun first-person shooter for the Game Boy Advance, which was based on an earlier draft of the script and released 2 years before the movie. So when the movie did finally come out, a sequel was made to the game that had more in common with the plot of the finished film. Hell, look at this. It looks more like when I go apeshit with remote and proximity mines in GoldenEye multiplayer. I could have used that game's soundtrack over this, where it keeps playing these funky beats with lyrics telling us, hey, don't this look cool? I wasn't into it, but now I have to be after someone said, oh yeah! The confrontation with the villain is gonna be really awkward. Which one is gonna say, I banged your wife, bro?
Where are my wife and son?
Last time I checked, they were not yours.
Why is this movie like the Jerry Springer show with martial arts? People are getting injured in this conflict too. Forget being hit by a chair. Here they kept in the shot where clearly the pyrotechnics go off too soon and got Banderas in the face where miraculously he came out okay, just like how his character was miraculously okay after 2 tons of steel pipes fell on him. They're throwing everything and the kitchen sink into this climax. Look at how they knocked on the door. Just use the freaking key under the mat! The best way you can tell it's based on an 80s script is that naturally it has its final confrontation in one of those classic 80s steam and sparks factory. This is a good example of a bad 2000s action film that should have been a fun 80s canon movie. It could have been the Michael Dudikoff Chuck Norris movie that we never got. At least that would have given it some personality. And if you're confused about how a villain dies, we'll blow him up so there's no confusion. That's how he got that face. You don't even need to see the whole movie. You could just base your opinion on the trailer, because the trailer goes through the whole thing, from them fighting, to their team up, to the nanobots, to even how the villain dies.
Is that the best you can do?
This is.
Although they didn't show in the trailer that when he's shot with the nanobot technology, his insides were made out of a sweet virtual reality doctor's training tool. So the movie was a flop, but I don't really know how much it lost. The budget was reported at $70 million, but the director states that that was inflated and the actual budget was maybe around $35 million. It's from Franchise Pictures, who did the same thing with Battlefield Earth. Now they can go their separate ways, where I would buy it if Sever was a ghost this whole time. And the Ecks died when he couldn't figure out a way off of this thing. How the hell did I even get up here? Where am I? Just because it's bad doesn't mean that I'm not like, please make a sequel to this. Who doesn't want to see Ecks versus Sever versus Ash versus Pinhead? I'll even settle for Ecks and Sever versus the demonic toys.
You sick son of a bitch.